channel, this is Joelle, and today I'm telling you the story of how I created Spirit Fever. So, Spirit Fever is a brand of cheerleading apparel, uniforms and everything right now. But you might not know that before being a brand of clothing, it was a game. So 10 years ago I had just started cheerleading, a year or so in, with the team that I created in Geneva. And I was really into those video games that you had to play a little bit every day to progress. It was really the trend at the time. I had a farm, I think, and it was not the Farmville that everybody was playing on Facebook later. It was really like 2005, 2006, and you had animal farms that you had to feed every day, take care of them. Some people had pigs, or really like you had stuff to take care of, and you had to log in every day and do a few actions, and it would take like 5-10 minutes each day, and you had to wait until the next day. So I was really into that kind of games, and being in university in computer science, for me it was not really a problem to program, and I had played a lot of games before, and my boyfriend was also into programming, and so I don't know what went through my head at that point, but we decided let's do a game. And so at first I thought we would work on it for a few months and just for fun, you know. It took us like a year and a half of work to create that game from scratch. We just hired an artist from the US who was a work-at-home mom, and she was an artist, and so she had a lot of time to do the artwork for us. It was not that expensive, so it was really cool, really affordable. And I did all the game design, planned all the mini games, and talked to the testers and the translator. I think the game was translated in 6 or 8 languages. At that point we found people from a lot of different countries, and we made the game in many different languages. And so I was dealing with the artist, the testers and the translators, and my boyfriend was doing all the programming, and that was it. So basically for a year and a half we tried to work on our free time on this. I still had cheerleading. Oh no, wait, I think it was the year that I stopped. Yeah, I think I was off cheerleading for some time, so that was good. I had more time, but I was still studying, and I had a part-time job, and I did that aside. And when I finished my studies, I really wanted to give this a chance, so I kept my part-time job and worked freelance on that game for some time. And my boyfriend was still working full-time in his job, and at that point we just made them on weekends and holidays, but that was quite long. But we were super proud. We managed to make a game. I can't remember right now. We might have had 60,000 players or something, and that was only the legit accounts, not the dead accounts that somebody created and never played. So, but of course it was not like 1,000 people at the same time or something, but still it was okay for a game that we made with 3 people and stuff. So that was cool and all, and we started programming it. No, we started designing it, thinking about everything on end of 2006, and we released it for Worlds in 2009. So that's even more than what I said. Oh my god. And so we went to the Cheerleading Worlds. At the time they had a trade show after the competition, and they had booth of people selling uniforms and bows and stuff like that. And we had a booth and showed our game. It was not especially popular or something, but we had that big release. The thing is that we had planned for that trip, and we had to have the game ready and set up at that time. And we were still super busy developing the game up until the last minute, and I really remember at that time the game was running on our small shuttle server that we had in our home, and we were going to live for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks to the US. And I gave the key of the apartment to my father and said, please, if we call you and tell you that the game is down and the server needs to be restarted, can you please go to my home and restart the server again? And so I think I had to do it once, I can't remember. Anyways, so I remember we kind of published the game, like pressed the button of going out of beta and really the real published game like an hour or so before we took the train to go to the airport. So that was crazy, so stressful. I was working like 14-hour days at that time, and because I had to show up at work at 7:30 in the morning because I had to do half-time, so like 50%. So, and I was teaching cheerleading at school at noon, and so that meant that I had to leave work at 11:30, so I had to do 4 hours before lunch. So I would go from 7:30 to 11:30 work at in IT department, and then I will go to school after a school program and teach cheerleading for like an hour and a half, an hour something, and then I would go to co-working space called Eclos in Lausanne, and I would work on the game. And then I had cheerleading practice at some point, so I would leave at 5 or something, and then go to cheer practice and coach for like 2, 3, 4 hours depending on the day, and then come back at 9 something at night. So there was big days, and I kept going like that for many years. So now I'm so happy that my life has been a little less busy than that. So that was the game and how we released it. By the way, small parenthesis on the game, it's not available anymore because we had problems and bugs, and we really couldn't find the time to troubleshoot them and then make the game work again. But at that point, I think like 10 years later, I think the game has been down for like 2 years or something, and at that point there was only like 5 person a day connected or something, so not too many. Anyways, that I did with that game. So we worked, both of us, we worked for free on our free time, and even when I spent half my day doing that, I didn't think I would gain any money with it. But I thought, since I'm spending so much time into it, why not monetize it? So at that point, 10 years ago, we had several options. We had a business plan with 3 options. First, we wanted to sell small items for a small amount of money. So that's very common in the game now. You spend maybe $2-3 to buy anything, like a new cool outfit, whatever. Second option was sponsors. So when we stopped really developing the game, we were talking with a makeup brand of cheerleading makeup for them to sponsor the makeup part of the game, so they would have their brand and they would pay per month or something to have their brand into the game. And the third option was to sell uniforms. My idea would be that the people would be so happy if they made the custom uniform in the game that they could have the option to buy this exact uniform for them, maybe with a name on it or something, as you know, as byproduct. So that was my idea, and I went and I looked for a supplier who could do just one uniform, because that was it. I really wanted to be able to make just one. Of course, I had ideas of making t-shirts and everything, but that was easy. The difficult part was the uniform. At that point, I found a girl in the US who was doing uniforms, and she agreed to make them for me. We ended up stopping working together after a while because it didn't work, but I had found somebody who could do one uniform. So that worked, and then at that point I had started my own team, and I started making uniform for my team, and then there were other local teams who said, oh my god, you can do uniforms? Because right now I can only order them in the US and they won't ship to Switzerland, or I have to order them in Germany and they don't speak French and I don't speak German, and would you please do my uniforms? And I was like, yeah, of course, why not? I have this factory, that girl, her small workshop, and she can do the uniforms, so okay, no problem. And then people started ordering shoes and whatever, and that girl was in cheerleading, and she could order all the different stuff. So that went like that, and then at some point I was still developing the game, and then I have team contacted me to make uniforms because they heard that I made the uniform for somebody else and they were happy. And so at some point I had more offers to make uniforms than really demand to build the game. So it started, you know, like I started taking more time to keep taking care of the orders that was bringing me money, and less time on the game that was not really working as giving me a job. And what was funny is that at that point I was getting daily emails of 12 years old yelling at me because the game was not fun enough or boring, or she wanted to do more, was not developing quick enough, and really people were really mean to me who was doing that on my free time and for free. And on the other hand, I had people in the cheerleading teams in Switzerland praising me, saying that they were so happy to work with me because it was really less expensive than someone else, and I spoke their language and it was awesome and I saved them, and they were so thankful. And at that point I'm getting yelled at and not getting paid for this, and it's fun, but yeah. And then people are praising me and so happy, and I'm earning some money. What should I do, really? And so we not really willingly started to do less things for the game because we had other stuff in our lives and it was difficult to find time to work on it. And I got more and more orders, so really the word of mouth brought me so many customers that at some point I decided to quit my part-time job and going full-time with Spirit Fever. At that point maybe the game was still on, but really we were focusing on the uniforms. It was in 2011, and for 6 months I already had moved out of the co-working space and took my own workshop slash showroom slash office with another fashion designer that I met in the co-working space, and we were super happy. We had a big it was like an old garage, but we painted it. It was super cool and quite affordable in the middle of the city, and we loved it. And so then one day I went to my boss and said, hey, so you know that I'm doing my job, my own company on the side, and really now I would like to quit and I would like to do that full time. And I think at that point, like on the same week or something, I met an old friend of mine in the street, and she said she was looking for a job in the IT industry, and so I introduced her to my boss, and they ended up hiring her, and I trained her, and then I could even leave earlier than I thought because of my notice time, because she was so up and running, and so that was awesome. And then from that point on, I was full-time doing Spirit Fever. I think at that point I still didn't had any employee. Maybe I had a few people working, just, you know, like students coming when they had an afternoon free at school. They would come and work for me, doing inventory, the packages and shipping and stuff like that. And for a few years then I started becoming bigger and then hiring more people, also always part-time people. I had good experiences with employees, and I had also very bad experiences with employees, and that was really difficult on me. Like, really, at some point I could not even pay myself, because I would invest all the money in my employees and the rent and starting new projects and everything. And so when you go every day to work and you don't bring a lot of money for me, and then your employees are not showing up, or they are really rude or something, so it was a really difficult time of my life, because it was really depressing me a lot. And now I find wonderful employees and I'm super happy. And so in the past years it's been so cool, so I'm so happy about that. So at some point we decided to close again, because like I said, it was bugged and we wouldn't take the time to do it for so many years. I kind of was not able to, you know, like, unplug it. It was my baby. I started that adventure with that game, and I really didn't want to let it go. And the more and more time went since the last update and everything, and at some point I was just ready. And I think that it was down for at least several months when I find out, and I said to my boyfriend, we should do something. And he's like, you know, it's been down for like 6 months or something, and nobody complained, and you didn't know, and so I think it's time to let it go. And so finally I let it go. And yeah, basically. And this summer I also decided to downsize the company and leave the office that we had, so I could really save money on the rent, because it's been now a lot of months since I could really pay a salary for myself, and that's getting really hard on my motivation. And yeah, when you show up every day to work and you work like a full week, like 40 hours or more, working on weekends and everything, and you've not been paid in like 10 months, that's really hard. So I will speak more about that in a different video. I think I will do something about passion and why you do things even though it doesn't bring you money. And yeah, anyways, so I moved out of the office this summer, and now I moved in my home, and so far it's going great. It's just a bit crowded with all of the stock. We had 62 square meters, and now I put everything in 12 square meters, and I have my basement full of stuff. So it's a bit crowded, but it's going great so far. So yeah, and I couldn't speak about Spirit Fever without speaking about Spirit Fever Open. So now this year is going to be the 7th year, I think. Yeah, I started in 2011, and that was my my dream to make a cheerleading competition. And I started, we did a partnership with a brand of American football apparel, and we did a joint event, and he did kind of a contest for quarterbacks on the morning, and I did a cheerleading competition on the afternoon. And then we did just 1 year together, and then since then I've done this alone. And I tried every year to train one of my employees to take over and be able to organize that whole event. And I couldn't had any of my employees doing that more than 1 year in a row. I taught like 3 or 4 different person to helped me on that competition, and every year they ended up quitting, or it was known that they were going to be here only for a year or something, and so I ended up doing most of the job myself at the end every time, and I'm so thankful for them while they were here, but my idea was to be able to pass it on to someone else to do it. And this year, like 2016, it was so depressing for me and such a bad time in my life, and with other problems, and learning that I was sick and everything. So then I decided that I wouldn't do it anymore, and I'm super lucky because my friend Florence, who was also coaching my cheerleading team, decided to take over, and she didn't want to see that competition ended, and she decided to start doing my competition by herself. And thankfully she got help from the employees that are currently working with me in Spirit Fever, or had worked in the past with me in Spirit Fever, especially on that event. So she's got a lot of help, and I think she's doing amazing so far, and I can't wait to see how she will do it. And so I'm happy because I put a lot of my time and soul into that competition, and it was just too much for me. I couldn't handle. Last year we had more than 1,000 people involved between the audience and the teams, like 700 participants or something. So it's a huge competition. I think it's now bigger than the Swiss Championship, and we're giving out bids to participate in the cheerleading worlds in Orlando, and so it's getting huge. But it was too much for me, and so I'm really happy that Florence is taking over with the help of all my team. So I think this is it for Spirit Fever, and I hope you liked the story. And so right now it's really not what I had envisioned for it, but it went so far and so incredibly. It was just a journey that I took from I want to make a game for fun. Maybe it will take me a few months to this is now my full-time job, and this is crazy. So this is something I really like in my life in general. I'm always open to opportunities, and when I see something that could be done and I want to do it, I do it. And so yeah, I kind of just went with the flow and went where it took me, and because of that company I met so many amazing people, and my life has totally changed to what I would have done if I stayed IT person, a computer engineer. And so yeah, it's so cool. Anyways, if you get the chance to start your own company, I will totally encourage it because it's an amazing journey. Just don't do it for the money because it's really hard. So if you have more questions about how I created my company and where it's at right now or whatever, you can ask it in the comments, and I will link to the website of Spirit Fever down there, and we have Instagram and Facebook too. And so I hope you enjoyed it, and please like and subscribe, and see you soon. Bye bye.